We are now continuing our program called Now. As we mentioned before, perhaps this is a bit pretentious, it's a bit philosophical. Now is a philosophical problem. What is now? So, what we all know, variety is the spice of life, and we're going to have a bit of change of pace. The beginning of this program, we were on in Jerusalem, because Jerusalem is, as it were, the key to our lives today, according to some people's narrative. But now what we're going to do today is what leads up to Jerusalem. So we go back right to the beginning. Okay, the beginning is Adam and Eve. So perhaps this is the story of Adam and Eve. We can make it out, you see. Very probably when people hear about Adam and Eve, they say, oh, that's an old program. We heard that in the kindergarten, but it's got absolutely nothing to do with what we are today. What is Adam and Eve in the mythical past? How can we refer to it? But I always think that actually Adam and Eve is perhaps one of the most pertinent stories going. But it's very simple, because God told us that we shouldn't do something, okay? When we see that, all of us, the hairs on the back of our head begin to rise. Hecker. Somebody says, you shouldn't do that. What do you mean, you shouldn't do it? I want to do what I... So immediately you say, you shouldn't do that. How do we react? The devil said, if you do, you'll be like God. The devil said, they tell you don't do it. But in actual fact, I tell you, if you do it, you will be God. Don't pay any attention. Don't pay any attention to anybody, and you will become God. You can do what you like, okay? So, what happens? The inevitable happens. The question is the question of the forbidden fruit. The forbidden fruit. So this is our lives. When we are kids, mother says, don't do that. Don't hit your sister. Don't put your hand in the fire. And what happens? We immediately do exactly what she tells us not to do. So we do. We drink cheap of the pleasures of life. You see, that's delicious. We go off and have a good time, and all the taboos and all the commandments go to pot. We just live life to the full. Forget about God. Forget it. Well, okay, this is one narrative. So we're saying, forget about God, forget about everything. Just what happens? Okay, we say, what happens if we do that? We say, okay, forget about God. No principles. Okay, so what happens? If we do that, what happens? If we say no, we say, okay, particularly it's the woman, you see, it's the beautiful girl. She says, okay, that's Eve. She eats the apple. They say women, curiosity killed the cat. So he said, that's life. Now, I want to live life to the full. That's life. Nobody can stop me. I want to do what I want. And they say, okay. Eve says, yes, Alex, I have just eaten a beautiful apple. Do you want to have a lit? Do you want to have it to see what we're doing here? And the other says, okay. So Eve says, Adam, you eat the apple. I found the apple delicious. Adam, forget about all these rules. What we do, what we want to do. So Adam, he eats the apple, okay? And what happens? The inevitable story is of lost innocence, okay? Lost innocence. When we come to this world, we are all these adorable little kids, cute little kids. Oh, little baby, your baby is so cute. Mother's so adorable. And then we grow up into these vicious little beasts. And we throw all these rules to the wind. Okay, now what happens is, you see, very, very immediately we see very clearly that Okay, Adam's apple. Okay, I've got it here. Adam's apple is, we say, oh my God, this picture says lost innocence. We all have to cover ourselves up with clothes. Now imagine today if I was sitting here naked. Just imagine what a horrible scene. An 80-year-old man sitting naked in the chair. It would be hideous. You say, get that guy out. He's mad. Well, you see, before that, there was no problem. We ran around naked. We had no problems. Everybody, girls, boys, the whole place was a beautiful scenery. Everything was absolutely wonderful. And then we don't obey the commandments. So what happens? We're in trouble. Okay, we lost innocence. We have pollution. We have the no fish left. We have earthquakes. We have the wives trying to be boss and the man trying to be boss. We have abuse. We have all these problems. They come. Okay. Well, now we say, okay, Father Alan, shut up. That's all the Catholic story. I'll tell you the real story. Okay, what is the real story? This is the modern man says all this story of Adam and Eve. Incidentally, you can look at this Adam and Eve. The Catholic Church isn't saying you have to believe there was Adam and have to believe this Eve. But what you have to believe is that God is in charge. If you break his commandments, you're in trouble. We don't have to believe that there was a garden with an apple tree and a lady called Eve and a garden-born man. That you can believe it if you like. But the main problem is we have to believe that God has rules. If we obey the rules, we're okay. Now, but some people say, I forget about God. Okay, forget about God. What happens? We forget about God. Who do we listen to? Okay? Who do we listen to? Okay, we listen to this guy. So this is the alternative. You say, okay, God, go home. Mama, Papa, I've had enough of all you telling me. You do this, you do that. Okay, do what you like. And this is what happens. We go back. This is our ancestors. And incidentally, the Catholic Church isn't against evolution. It doesn't say we didn't come from monkeys. It's quite possible we evolved from the Catholic Church doesn't say you cannot evolve from monkeys. It doesn't say that. But what it says is that's not the whole story. Where does the monkey come from? That's the problem. You say, okay, you come from monkey, maybe. Many of us look like monkeys. But what are the problems before? So the whole absurdity of the situation is if we give up the idea of God's story, Adam and Eve, we come from God and our whole lives are going back to God. If we ditch the whole lot, what are we left with? We're left with monkeys. We're just highly developed monkeys. You're a monkey, I'm a monkey, and I do what I like and you do what you like. And what do the monkeys say? So every day we listen to the pontificating politicians, the luminaries of the age, and what do they say? Okay, this is what the people say today. Don't listen to God, listen to the monkey. Okay, what does the monkey say? Okay, he's talking to us, you see. Okay, this is what we are told. Listen to the monkey, listen to the politicians, you know. You see, okay, now he is going to tell us how to solve the world's problems. Okay. So there we have it, you see. That's it. Now, okay, now we listen to this guy, you see. That's the answer. That's the modern answer. Now, which is more absurd? This monkey, which is more ridiculous? This monkey or this gibbon? Okay, we just ask ourselves, is this monkey's utterances more intelligent than the story of Adam and Eve? So we have a choice. We follow God's story, Adam and Eve, Abraham, the Bible, the Catholic Church, okay, or we are incumbent on these paleontologists and these biologists and these anthropologists to tell us what to do. You know what the bard said? The world is out of joint, O cursed spite, that I was set it right. In other words, Shakespeare tells us, each of us tries to set the world right. So this program, we're going to say, what's the answer? Okay, we'll listen to this guy. We can listen to him. Listen to the monkey. Okay, listen to the monkey. But maybe God has another story. Okay. These are our experts. This is the expert. The politicians. Forget about men and women. Just they're all one thing. So look at this is what our pundits tell us. If you give up God, this is what you have. Monkeys. See, look at his eyes. He's a monkey. Okay, that's my grandfather and your grandmother. We all came from these monkeys. Okay, so that's a bit of a problem. So you look and see his pouch is going on. I think this is actually a gibbon, isn't it? It's not a monkey. I believe it's a gibbon. And he's carrying on in this way. So in a moment now, you see, you can hear them all belly aching away. All these pontificating luminaries telling us exactly what to do. And in fact, have they got the answer? Do you think that in truth, as I say, the Catholic Church is not against evolution, but it says that truth eventually we've got to go back to God, to himself, you see. So here we are, you see, this is it. What he says is, forget about the rules, become a monkey, just have a good time, and so we have it here. All right, so this guy is just going completely berserk. All right, here we go again. Forget about the rules. So we have a place like England. They have in England, what happens is, if you have a form, and on the form it says mummy and daddy, don't look at it, because there's no such thing as mummy and daddy. What you have is parent 1, parent 2. If you have even the WCs, you have about 6 different kinds of WCs. Why? You see, there's a roaring and declaring. Okay, this monkey is roaring and declaring. Okay, this is we can get rid of this. What did you call it? That's a Siam. Okay, Dajiang. This is a Chinese thing. Okay, so now we are going to go into the desert of Sinai. Okay, this is a Siam thing. Okay, yeah. So as I just said, this is the alternative. Are we going to listen to this thing about now? Okay, well, this program's going on a bit too long here. We're going to we're now going to go back to the Sinai desert. In a minute, we've had enough of this monkey. We said, look, Mr. Monkey, keep quiet. We want to use a bit of our nous, okay? And we've had enough of this. Okay, now what is this? As I've just declared, very simply, we have 2 alternatives. We can follow God's plan, or we can follow the monkeys. Now, how do we get out this problem? The Sinai desert, well, the template, we could say, 40 years in the desert. This is the Sinai desert. I took this picture. I came from the north of the Sinai desert right the way down to Sinai, Mount Sinai, where Moses was supposed to have done his stuff. So this is the desert. Now, what does the desert symbolize? Okay, we can say the desert symbolizes, you might say, man's examining himself. If we are in modern society today, we have no time to think about things most of the time. We have to go to the desert. So now we're going to the desert, and we haven't got a map here, but I should have shown you the map. You see, this is the road in the desert. We go to the desert, and the 40 years is our life. We have from when we're very young up to 40, and then we have another 42 generations, and we work out what to do. So this is our life in the desert. We must think, where do I come from? Where am I going to? This is the thing. Where am I come from? Where do I go from? Now, if I just, as I say, spend all my time in the office, and I'm just having rows with the boss, or chasing people, or chasing money, I can't make head or tail of the whole situation. So I go to it. Okay, so this is the Sinai Desert. Now we can imagine here, this is on the left hand here, you said Egypt, and then you have Israel. To get to Israel, to get to Jerusalem, we have to go through this period of purgation. And what happens? Unfortunately, I haven't got enough presentations. So what's up now? Unfortunately, we haven't got enough of our little pictures. We should have had some pictures of Pharaoh And Pharaoh is... I'll just stop for a minute because they've just told me to keep quiet. See, so, but in the next, what we've just said, we'll kind of summarize a bit. The 40 years in the desert symbolizes our life in Egypt, which is the world, and then we leave the world, we want to go to heaven, we have to have 40 years in the desert thinking about things, and then we get to Israel. So we're gradually coming to Israel and we'll go back to the temple. But anyway, we'll see you again shortly. Have a good time. God bless.